Is it time for the San Francisco 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, Parag Marathe to push all their chips into the middle and go get Lamar Jackson? Is it time that we stop messing around and the San Francisco 49ers go get a certified MVP? We're going to talk about it all right now. You already know the vibes. Let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What is going down, sourdough squad? Good to see you guys. As you all know, it would not be a San Francisco 49ers offseason without rampant quarterback speculation. And we have enough people talking about this that we got to spin our wheels on it. All right. So that's what we're gonna do. Because we got to figure out, could Lamar Jackson actually be a San Francisco 49er? Could we see a scenario play out where the 49ers negotiate with Lamar Jackson, again, who doesn't have an agent, but they negotiate? Lamar Jackson is looking for a fully guaranteed contract, by the way. Shout out to Deshaun Watson. Because of his deal that Deshaun got with the Browns, Lamar Jackson is also looking for a fully guaranteed contract. Not only probably just fully guaranteed, but he probably wants to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. So probably looking for a deal that exceeds Deshaun Watson's $230 million deal. So do we feel that the San Francisco 49ers could actually, one, afford it, two, give up multiple first-round draft picks? So that would be 5 years that the San Francisco 49ers would not draft in the first round, making us the new LA Rams. So those are the questions that we are going to ask today. And before we get on into all that, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are having a fantastic time. The off season, we're about to start cooking here. It's already going. As you guys know, the NFL Combine is done, and clearly, being at the NFL Combine, you understand why a lot of things are discussed. Everyone's around each other. Everyone. So all these things are communicated. Agents, whatever, coaches, general managers, owners, all at the Combine, talking about all this stuff. So that's why, since the Combine, everything is picked up. So we are in full-blown off-season mode. Next week is going to be crazy. So make sure you got post notifications on everything, because we're going to have our, players with the 49ers signing elsewhere. 49ers are going to be signing players. There's going to be trades. There's going to be cuts. All kinds of stuff is about to pop off next week. So get your popcorn ready, ladies and gentlemen. It's about to get cooking. As you can see here, the new league year officially starts on the 15th, but legal tampering begins on the 13th. So it's about offseason, man. Free agency. It's a wild time to be alive. But again, shout out to all the SDS, man, checking in with me. I also have a buddy with us today. Look at our buddy. Can you see him? He's not really in focus. But I was at the Combine. I was like, I'm thirsty. I'm going to get something to drink. And I take a sip of my drink, and I'm like, is that DeForest? I was like, oh my God. It's like, damn it. I was like, I was vibing. I was living my best life, and I look at the freaking cup, and it's DeForest Buckner, man. Oh, 49ers legend. I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared at all for that. But hey, maybe if it doesn't work out with Lamar Jackson, future 49ers legend, Matt Ryan, I don't know. We'll see, man. We will see. But I want to ask you guys, let's poll the chat. All right. Let's poll the chat for the first time today. Do you guys want to see the San Francisco 49ers push all the chips into the middle? Whatever it takes, that means any player could be traded. That means any player could be cut to make room. Do you want the San Francisco and multiple draft picks, of course? Do you want to see the San Francisco 49ers push it all to the center and see them make a blockbuster move for current Ravens quarterback who has been hit with the franchise tag to become a San Francisco 49er? Drop it in the chat. I want to see what you guys are talking about. I want to see where your vibe's at, because I asked the same question to I did a YouTube poll, and so we can take a look at what the poll's talking about as well. And you can see 25% say yes, 52% say no, and an additional 23% say ride with Trey, Brock, add a veteran quarterback. I posted this an hour ago. Are already over 5,000 votes. Definitely appears 75% are leaning towards no. But let's look at the chat. Let's see what the chat is vibing like. So far, no. Nope. It's 95% not possible. No. Thank you. No. No, please just get hurt. No, got you. No. Nah. Ooh, AR-12, huh? No. No. Love Lamar, but no. No, save the money. No. 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 Doesn't want a running quarterback. GAA said this yesterday. Hard pass. These all-in moves are way too risky. Look at Wilson and Watson. Justin says, I do it for Lamar. Feel like it gives you the juice to compete with the Chiefs. No, but if they do trade for Lamar, I'll shave my beard. I might have to be there. I might have to be right there with you, because I don't think they're going to trade for him. But if they do I shave the beard? No, I can't put that out there. My kids have never seen my face without a beard. I would scare the hell out of them. I don't think I can do that, but I would love to see it if you did. Brandon says, I'm sorry, but the ones who voted no know nothing about football. Ooh, call him out, Brandon. Brandon says, you don't know ball, bruh, if you don't want Lamar in red and gold. You don't know ball, bruh. Fred said, Purdy has it. We good. No. Do we get a first? Do running quarterbacks win the Super Bowl? No, we don't get a first. We give 2 firsts that we don't have. LOL. No. Hell to the no. No, just no, but hell. I think to say no to an elite quarterback dismissively is wild. From JC. My thinking is that if we like Purdy as our future, what would Lamar do for Purdy? Now, if we were leaning with Lance as our future, I can see it, but I'd rather go with a non-dual threat quarterback. Give me a sec. No. Kevin says, how do you say no to a generational quarterback? Oh, we got 49ers Twitter up in here. Let's go, dog. I don't believe we have the capital to be able to make the deal for Lamar. Uh, we already went all in for CMC, back to Brock. Javier says the 49ers will. All right. So I see some back and forth. And I think this is a nuanced conversation, which is why I'm more than happy to have this conversation. Because the question is very simple, right? There's no nuance involved. Do you want Lamar or not? And I don't think that this is a rigid type. You can't just give a rigid response. There's reasoning behind it all. Would you want a former MVP, clearly uh, generational type player who can do it in the pocket, on the run, can create in a vacuum? Of course, I think anyone would want that in a vacuum, but this isn't a vacuum. This is there's a lot at stake here. This is much different than Lamar Jackson just being a free agent and we pay him the contract that he's looking for, right? It is one, you pay him, two, you trade him. So the fact that I see so many people like willing to do that gives me hope for the Brian Burns agenda. I thought the percentage chances of the Brian Burns agenda really making it through, much of this offseason, I love the Brian Burns agenda, but this is giving me new hope that people are willing to pay Lamar Jackson, arguably a fully guaranteed contract over $40 million per year, trade everyone, Bosa, Kittle, Fred Warner, and Trent Williams for Lamar. Well, that Brian Burns agenda sounds a little bit more reasonable right about now. You already know I want to make this about Brian Burns somehow. But again, this is a nuance. The Lamar Jackson thing, it's very nuanced. So I don't think too many people would say no to the idea of adding a generational talent like Lamar Jackson to the roster. I mean, that would be phenomenal. But what are you giving up? What are you losing out on? And what are the implications moving forward? And there are a lot of them. First of all, I don't know about you guys, but I love the draft. I love scouting and I love looking into prospects and I love doing all this types of stuff. But I don't know if I could do another 2 more years of no first round picks. I don't know if I can. It's been hard, man. It's tested some of the most grizzlied, Twitter scouts out here covering the San Francisco 49ers. No first round picks. It's been tough, man. And as we know, we don't have second round picks because that went to CMC. I mean, we'll kind of get our first round picks next year. But this is the thing. I think the 49ers right now, even though it's a bit of an unproven situation with Trey and Brock, we've at least seen glimpses from both. Now, are they proven? No. Are there a lot of variables? 100%. But are they cost controlled? Are they paid for and accounted for already? 100%. So this is where I start to lean with not being super in on Lamar Jackson because of multiple reasons. It's going to cost a hell of a lot, man. It's going to cost a lot. I don't know. Maybe if the Trey Lance trade never happened, right? Maybe if the 49ers never traded 3 first-round draft picks to get Trey, this might be a more tangible conversation where the 49ers just did what they did. They went with mid-round draft quarterbacks, or they stuck with Jimmy, and they grabbed a Slater, they grabbed the Parsons, and they just continued to build the roster the way they have. And they get to this point now where they're like, all right, we're ready to make that move. They already made that move. They already made that move for Trey Lance. So to double down, make the move twice, this one makes more sense because you're doing it for a proven guy, right? We know what Lamar Jackson is, how special he is, how talented he is, and how you put him in an offense with Christian McCaffrey, with Kyle Juszczyk, with Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. You put all these weapons and you insulate a player like Lamar Jackson. I mean, it's hard not to like already start dreaming about San Francisco 49ers holding up that sixth Lombardi, right? Like that is that's where you start to get really excited about this. But if there's anything that I've learned about covering the San Francisco 49ers for the last couple of years is that you have to take into account the business side of football. And the business side of football right now is kind of pushing me towards this seems more of it's the same thing with the Brian Burns. Like I would love it. I can functionally put together a deal where I think it would make sense, but are they actually going to execute it? Probably not. Like I could definitely put together a trade package for Brian Burns. I could put together a contract for Brian Burns. Like I could do all that stuff. But is that going to happen? Probably not. Would it be phenomenal? 100%. But I think the same thing kind of applies with Lamar Jackson. It's like in a vacuum, you take Lamar Jackson, you put him in this offense, Super Bowl, right? And we get real excited about that. And you start to think and you look at all the throws and you look at everything that he can do, and you're like, holy, could you imagine Lamar Jackson in this offense, coached under Kyle Shanahan in that structure and scheme, and then what he can do outside of structure, you're like mind blown. It'd be phenomenal. No one's stopping the San Francisco 49ers, right? How are you going to stop them? But are you giving up Bosa to get Lamar Jackson, your foundational defensive player? What are you giving up? What's the move from here on out? So this is the thing, is that I just think it costs too much. It's a combination of two things. It's the dollar amount. One, two, we live in California, so Lamar Jackson's already getting 45% of his contract gone. Goodbye. Hello, state taxes. But the 49ers have to give up something of value. And what does that value come from? They don't have first round draft picks. They don't have a first round pick this year. They got a first round pick next year. But are you giving up Ayuk, a first rounder plus more? Are you sending Trey Lance, a first rounder, and Ayuk plus more? What are you sending? Because if you're sending Lance, you're selling Lance at his least possible value. So you're getting the worst return on investment on Trey Lance imaginable. That's why it doesn't make sense to trade Lance either in this scenario, in my opinion, or in any scenario, because you're trading Trey Lance literally at his lowest value. And when you're talking again, at the end of the day, this is a for-profit entity. These teams want to make money. They want to come out on top. They don't want to lose value. And if there's any team that has proven that to us, look at the San Francisco 49ers and how they handled Jimmy Garoppolo. They wouldn't get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo because they knew he was a valuable asset. So they wouldn't get rid of him. Literally. They're like, you're here. Might as well just restructure and stick around because we're not getting rid of you. Right now, unfortunately, Jimmy Garoppolo is probably more valuable than Trey Lance. And that might be weird to actually like hear and like process, but I think if you ask the NFL world, they would tell you that because they've seen one do it multiple times. Might not be the best talent in the world, but what's the thing with Jim? He wins football games. Teams will pay for that. Teams will trade for that. They clearly didn't last year. But it's going to be fascinating to see what they would get in return if they were to trade Trey, because I don't think coming off an injury, where's his value at? What are we doing? So that's the thing. And Roman, we are entertaining this because it's listen, I wouldn't honestly have dove too deep into this, but it's become a debate. People are talking about it. People are they are actually like interested in getting Lamar Jackson. So I think it's worth having a conversation about. And again, we don't have to agree. We don't. We could be completely on different spectrums. We don't have to see eye to eye on this or any of it. But I'm gonna keep the same energy that I kept with Deshaun Watson. I love Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson was a draft crush. I'm a closeted Clemson fan. Um, I watched Deshaun's entire career at Clemson. I thought he would have been absolutely phenomenal 49er player if they were to draft him, but I knew Kyle wasn't going to do that. So, but I've always been a Deshaun Watson fan, obviously prior to recent situations. But there was a moment in time where I would have traded a lot of things, a lot of things to get Deshaun Watson, but I never would have traded Nick Bosa. And I said that last year. I got a lot of heat for that too. But the same thing applies for Lamar Jackson. I don't feel that that is from a global perspective of kind of understanding the entire roster, the construction, the funds, and what you're giving up. I'm not trading Bosa. Can't do it. Can't trade Bosa. Can't do it. Especially when you could have had these guys. They were right there. They were right there. You had Watson. You had Mahomes. They're right in front of you. But hey, at the time, Solomon Thomas felt like a safer pick. We don't got to go down that road. But ooh, here JC's adding something to this. He's saying struggling with people pretending it's not a conversation to potentially trade an elite quarterback. That's the part I struggle with. Reality is, if Trey and Brock are that good, you'll have to pay them too, of course, 100%. And I don't disagree with that part. But I think again, the part where I see this being an issue is what you have to give up to get him. I think it would be more realistic if he was a flat out free agent. If he was just a free agent, then I think the conversation might be a little bit different. But you don't have the first round picks. You don't have a first round pick this year. You know the Ravens are going to want a first round pick this year. They're not going to want a 24 and a 25. That is significantly less value, especially. Oh, what's this? What's this? What's this? Is this our official comp picks? 216. I don't think a whole lot has changed. Hold on a second. They just released, I think, our official comp picks. So our official comp picks 99, which is what we've assumed. That hasn't changed. 101 and 102. That hasn't changed. I don't think anything really changed here. Pick 173. Pick 216. 253. 255. 253. Is that one new? All right. Well, I'll have to get to the bottom of that, but it does appear the comp picks have officially been given out. Just now, this one was from Ari Miryov. Uh, so 49ers get a total of 4 comp picks. But again, based on the way it's been projected, I really don't think a whole lot changes here. Yeah, not a whole lot changes. So, anyways, kind of back to the conversation at hand. Um, I don't think it's not about trading for an elite quarterback. I think it's all the things. You know what I mean? I really think it's, the 49ers made that move already. I think that those 3 first round draft picks, if they traded for Trey, they would have traded for Deshaun. I think they would have made that move. So I think that already would have occurred, but that's where I think this becomes even trickier. Like, think about it. Last year, the 49ers didn't make one single trade in the draft, and that is not like them. They trade up and down the draft. And I really do believe I think it was a decided decision from ownership, front office, that we traded so much to get Trey Lance. We don't trade. We don't give up anything else. We gave up a lot for Trey. That's what we did, and we're going to ride with it. The next year, they didn't trade anything. They didn't move up. They stayed put at every spot. So I think that has to be taken into account because I really do think that the San Francisco 49ers are still dealing with that. You know what I mean? It would also be an admission that they missed on Trey, right? So there's a lot of things at play here. So I think from our perspective, from the outside looking in, I do think it's a lot easier to say, absolutely. Let's go all in. Let's go get Lamar Jackson. I think it's easier for us to say. I think internally, it's a completely different conversation. I think internally, with how much it's going to cost, what you're going to give up, plus the Trey Lance trade, I think it makes us almost a non-starter internally. Again, that would be my thoughts on it. Like, that would be my interpretation of how that all works, because there's so many other things at play. And, if they feel that confidently about the combination of Brock and Trey, then maybe they stick there. All right. I got to get this post out. We got John Lynch. And so the 49ers, again, they just released all the comp picks. The draft order is now officially set. So I'll pull up the list here in a second, but let me get this out. And then we can get back to our conversation about should the 49ers go all in on Lamar or stay the course and keep on cooking with what they got. All right, hold on one second. Let me get this out. We're having a nice spirited debate here, and I like it. Again, we don't have to agree on this stuff. Um, I think the off season, one of the best parts is we're totally speaking on hypothetical. So there's nothing like totally factual about any of this. We're just kind of like, it's all how we perceive the situation to be, what we think would be the best for the team. So no one's really wrong and no one's really right. That's the best part. It allows us to be passionate about our thoughts, our takes, and what we think. Okay, so The 49ers have a total of 7 comp picks. So, geez, we got a lot of comp picks in return. 7, baby. 49ers, say what you want. They figured out this comp pick formula situation. Obviously, a lot of these comp picks come from coaches and front office staff being hired that were minorities. So they're getting picks back for that. But it's also free agents that sign and all that stuff. So hold on, let me get this thing out. Squirrel. All right. Almost there. Okay, posted. Okay, I can see the chat's arguing. Good time to be alive. Always fun. Ooh. All right. 7 comp picks for the 49ers. So the 49ers got 3 third-round picks, a 5th-round pick, a 6th-round pick, and 2 7ths. 49ers are cooking. Cooking. Let's go. Those sound like picks to move up, baby. Those sound like picks to move up. Let's go. All right. Let's get back to the heated debate, Lamar Jackson. Should he be a San Francisco 49er? Again, I don't think it's much of a conversation about talent. I don't think it's a much of a conversation about those things. I think it's the other things. That really is going to be the difference maker. So, again, understandably, I understand why people want Lamar Jackson. I think I understand what that move would represent, all those types of things. But I really do believe that that's a pretty bold move. And they've already made that move with Trey. I don't know if they're going to double down. Again, scared money don't make no money, so you never know. You never know. Do they feel like, listen, we're not gonna let anything that we've done in the past stop us from producing in the future? Who knows? Right? Like, who knows what the internal thought process is? I'm only speculating. But that's kind of where I'm at. If it were up to me, I would sniff around. I would see what it would take. But if we're talking 5 years, 40 million per year, fully guaranteed contracts, and you have to trade a player plus first round draft picks, I'm sorry. I like Lamar. There's nothing against Lamar. And again, I love Deshaun Watson. But if they said it's first round picks and Bosa, I say you're crazy. I'm not doing that. So everyone has their price, and some people's price are going to be different than mine, and that's perfectly fine. But again, if it's a player, if it's first round picks and it's an insane contract, I'm gonna bow out of this one. But that's my take. I think the San Francisco 49ers have proven that they can get it done, which again, It's not just about getting it done, it's about getting over the hump, which is why people want Lamar Jackson. So again, I understand it. I understand it. But I mean, they sold the house on Trey. They the team likes Purdy. And the team is built to have a point guard, so to speak, less a do everything kind of guy. So again, I know a lot of people, it's a non-starter for some. I know for others, they don't even, there's also the other thought of like, how can you not even consider this? I'm perfectly honest, I'm right there in the middle. Like, I can see why you would go and knock on this door and try to see if it would work, but I'm also looking at everything that it would take to get that guy in this building, and it's too much for me. Even though I get it. Good quarterbacks can change the complexion of the team, and who knows? Who knows what Lamar being here could be? Um, but it feels risky considering all the compensation, all the money that goes into it. And again, I'm not a cap guy, so I'm not even pretend like I'm gonna dip my feet into that conversation. But you have the highest paid quarterback, you have the highest paid defensive end, the highest paid defensive player, Nick Bosa. You have the highest paid left tackle. You have the highest paid fullback. You have the highest paid uh, tight end. You have one of the highest paid running backs. You have one of the highest paid wide receivers. You have the highest paid middle linebacker. At a certain point, it feels like something's gonna give. I know Parag has done a pretty solid job of creating a lot of opportunities for more money. But I think when you're getting into fully guaranteed deals, I think it changes a lot of the flexibility you can have. Again, speculation. I don't know. I really don't know. So I get it because at the end of the day, we all want to ring, and so we're willing to do that. You're going to have the highest paid edge rusher. Feel like that contract won't be too far off Lamar's. I agree. It no. What do you think? Bosa's probably going to be getting 30 to 35 mil. I know the franchise tag is at 32. So, but that's the point. It's you're paying Bosa and Lamar because I'm not trading Bosa. Some of you guys might trade Bosa. I'm not trading Bosa. I'm paying Bosa. I am making Bosa the highest paid defensive player in the NFL. I'm paying him 30 to 35 million dollars per year. He's getting quarterback money. Are you doing that twice? I don't think so. So I think that's the point. And it's like then that's where the conversation comes. We'll trade Bosa for Lamar, and I'm sorry. I can't do it. Can't do it. I wouldn't trade Bosa for Deshaun, and Deshaun was a certified draft crush, demigod tag, draft son, all of it. All those things. Like, you guys know how I'm about Brian Burns, I'm about George Kittle. Deshaun Watson was one of my sons. He sat on my lap. I raised him as a youngin. That's my guy, and I would not trade Nick Bosa for Deshaun Watson. And I like Lamar. I don't like Lamar as much as I liked Deshaun Watson. I'm not trading Nick Bosa for Deshaun Watson. It's the non-starter. Nope, not happening. So that's just where I'm at. But again, we don't all have to see that way. We would all build these teams differently. So, and you guys know, if you can get me, that's where I'm like, oh, is the Brian Burns agenda still alive? Because we wouldn't have to pay Brian Burns 40 million a year. we might be able to get him less for than 2 first-round draft picks, even though that's what the Panthers said they wanted. I don't think anyone's trading 2 first-rounders for Brian Burns if Lamar asking price is 2 first-rounders. So is the Brian Burns agenda back on? I mean, people are ready to give it all for Lamar. Get me Brian Burns across from Nick Bosa. Put a potato at quarterback. Watch the San Francisco 49ers win the Super Bowl. Watch it happen. I could play quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers if you've got Nick Bosa, Brian Burns, Eric Armstead, insert rotational defensive tackle. I could play quarterback, Super Bowl. There's the recipe. Sam Darnold confirmed potato. Facts. 100%. Jesse Rodriguez says, I'd give up a first and a third in 2025 for Burns. Yeah, so would I. And I don't think you would have to pay him as much, which would still give you some room for flexibility to be able to do other things. DN won't win you a Super Bowl. I don't know, because if we really want to play that game, the San Francisco 49ers were 10 minutes away from winning a Super Bowl with arguably a potato at quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo coming off surgery or ACL reconstruction. The 49ers went 13-3 because of that D line, because of rookie Nick Bosa, because of DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, and D Ford. So I can definitely turn that back at you and say, listen, my guy. This team, constructed in the image of Kyle Shanahan, was 10 minutes away from winning a Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes with a potato at quarterback because they had 2 defensive ends. Now, they also had DeForest Buckner. We can't undersell that either. But go back. Fred Warner still wasn't Fred Warner quite yet. Richard Sherman was in the decline. Emmanuel Mosley was an undrafted free agent. Rookie. We had K'Wan Williams, the Shark. Shout out to Shark. Who else did we have? We had Quan Alexander playing with a torn pec. Who are our safeties? Tart, Ward. 49ers went 13-3 because of that defensive line. And when you have a scheme and a system like Kyle Shanahan's, that's what, again, when you see Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, come in and do what he did and go undefeated, that's where I'm like, maybe you don't need to spend that exorbitant amount on a quarterback. You build elsewhere and you just get a quarterback who can operate, right? Who can just think and dunk. Yes, does it help to have a guy that can push the ball downfield? Of course it does. 100%. Does it help to have a dynamic quarterback? 100%. Who knows how many Super Bowls the 49ers would have won with Patrick Mahomes? Who knows? But again, I've seen this team with a dominant D line, what they could do. And so for me, that's where I'm at. Give me BB, baby. Give me BB. So if we're talking Lamar Jackson agenda, don't mind if I come back with the Brian Burns agenda on full steam ahead. If we're willing to spend $40 million a year, trade 2 first-round draft picks, potentially a superstar player for Lamar, I will make the case of why we can get Brian Burns, spend uh, a fraction of the price, and arguably just be just as good, just different. Still good, just different. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. But hey, listen, I get it. We're all in the same category. We want to win a freaking Super Bowl, and we are willing to do whatever it takes, whether it's traded. I get I get some of the thought processes. Like look at what we've done. Look, we're still in this spot. I get some of those thoughts. All right. So again, no one's right. I really don't think no one's right, no one's wrong. Um, we all can have our thoughts and our takes. But I would if this front office is really considering giving that much uh for Lamar Jackson, give me 5 minutes in front of John Lynch. Give me 5 minutes. Let me get my Brian Burns pitch off, cost analysis, all of it. Just give me 5 minutes with John Lynch, man. Just give me 5 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes. But the counterpoint too is if Kyle Shanahan can't keep Brock Purdy healthy, if Kyle Shanahan can't keep Trey Lance Purdy, can't keep Trey Lance healthy, can Kyle Shanahan keep Lamar healthy? Are you playing 20, 21 games a year with Lamar Jackson? If Kyle can't protect Brock or Trey or Jimmy, is he protecting Lamar? And then are you spending again, you're doubling down on your quarterback investment and then to be not available? Counterpoint. Counterpoint. That's all. But again, this came on when we were talking about the Lamar situation. 49ers were awarded 3 first round comp picks 99, 101, 102. This is what I've been doing mock drafts on, so that doesn't really change a whole lot. 49ers also gained comp picks in rounds 5, 6, and 2 and 7. So 7 extra picks added today. Again, this has kind of been what we've been thinking. Not, we've kind of been cooking in that regard. I can even show the mock draft that I just did. Mock draft 1.0. It's a bit of a throwaway mock draft, but it's more of a fun. Just wanted to get a couple guys in here because I think the board is absolutely going to change dramatically from here on out. So awesome. It's not going to let me. All right. Hold on one second. I want to show you 2 mock drafts. I'm going to show you the one that I posted and then the one that I also had fun with. And I liked. I got 11 players out of that one. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. But that's the other part of the off season. You could do whatever, man. Don't let anyone tell you you can't have this opinion, you can't do that. Again, we might not see eye to eye on things. I might have a difference of opinion, but don't let anyone tell you you can't have a bit. If you want to trade Nick Bosa for Lamar Jackson, by God, trade Nick Bosa for Lamar Jackson. Who am I to stop you? I'd sell the world for Brian Burns. So again, that's the beauty of the offseason is we're in hypothetical land. Anything goes, man. Anything goes. Screw Taylor Lewan, man. Doesn't want to play right tackle for the 49ers. We don't need you, man. That was fun. That was a fun time. Let's see. Is it oh, I can do it. All right, let's look at these 2 mock drafts that I did. The one right above me, I posted this one. The one to the far, my far, your right is one that I had some fun with, but I really like who I came away with in all of them. I don't think the far one's gonna happen. I don't even really think this one's gonna happen. Again, I took Byron Young because he was there. Do I think he's going to be there? Absolutely not. I think he's probably solidified himself as top 75 or maybe creeped into top 60. Byron had a phenomenal, just absolutely fantastic um, combine, so he's bumped up. Also, to Blake Freeland, I'm showing a trade up because I think you're going to have to trade up to get Blake Freeland out of BYU. Probably a little bit higher than that. Might have to go into the 80s, maybe even further. But these are two guys that made a lot of money at the combine. Blake's tape, I'm sold. Draft crush. I love Blake Freeland on tape. I feel like if you want a guy to come in and replace Mike McGlinchey, go get Blake. Go get Blake. Package some of these picks. Move up, pick 80, 75, around there. Make sure you get a tackle that will be a day one starter and can be a guy to anchor the right side of your offensive line for the next 5 years. Blake Freeland could be that guy. 6'7", 300 pounds. I mean, you watch the tape. He tested well. He ran a sub 540, which is insane for a guy that big. He can absolutely pass block. He has bend. He has the ability to anchor. He's got feet, wide base. Some mention his skinny legs, but I have yet to see his legs be any issue in regards to what he does in run blocking or pass blocking. I see quick feet. I see good leverage for a guy that's 6'7". He's not a guy that just stands straight up. He gets the right angle on his back. He's good in down blocking. He's good in zone scheme, gap scheme, and he can pass block. So this is a guy that I really like. I think could be a guy that steps in, and but I think you got to trade up for him, man. I think you got to trade. I think you got to trade up for Blake Freeland if that's a guy you want. But I think it's going to be worth it. Gervon Dexter is a guy that I really like. Had a chance to speak to him at the NFL Combine. I spoke to all three of these. Actually, did I speak to all of them? I spoke to Blake Freeland, Byron Young, Gervon Dexter. I can't remember if I talked to Torrance. I talked to Austin. I talked to Saldivari. I talked to Stills. Didn't talk to Moody. So I talked to like 80% of the people on this list or on these drafts. Gervon is a guy that I loved his interview. Absolutely loved his interview. I was like, ooh, very well spoken. Someone who had really good answers to the questions he was being asked. And he's a freak, man. He's 6'6". He's huge. But when you see him on the field and you see him on tape, he actually moves pretty well. And he's really strong. And I feel like, with what the 49ers were looking for with Javon Kinlaw, you might be able to get him kind of at a value. I don't think he offers the same pass rushing upside, but right now, if you can get me a third round defensive tackle, 6'6", athletic traits, and strength to hold up double teams, anchor the interior of the defensive line, to allow Eric Armstead, to allow Nick Bosa and future 49er Brian Burns to be able to do what they need to do, I love it. Jonathan Mingo is a guy that I really like. I got to talk to Jonathan Mingo at the combine. He met with the San Francisco 49ers. Um, I liked him a lot. You could see I took a sixth round running back in the mock to the right. I really liked Chris Rodriguez just as a person. Um, he has some good tape, but man, hearing him talk about how his mom passed away and just like how his mom's his hero and just I don't know, I got sentimental. So I saw him there in the sixth round. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take this guy. I have a good feeling about him. I know the 49er fans are like, we don't need any more running backs. But hey, sixth rounder, took a shot. Nick Saldivari, I don't think it's going to be a seventh round draft pick. I think the latest Nick Saldivari will go is fifth round. Um, he's extremely versatile, has the ability to, I think, be a starter at right tackle too. But you can kick him down to center. You can kick him down to guard. I think he'll play best at center, but he would be, you could plug and play him probably right away at right tackle. So it'll be very interesting. But now that we got all the comp picks in, it's gonna be it's mock draft season, baby. Oh, DeForest. We haven't been right since you left us, DeForest. Damn it. Oh. Oh man. Yeah, Defo. 49ers legend. The argument to why you would go all in is because you want to win now. That's the argument. And there's a case for that. If you get Lamar Jackson, 49ers have to be favorites in the NFC. They probably got to be Super Bowl favorites. So, like, getting Lamar Jackson, I don't think is a bad thing. It's just, again, you have to weigh out all the options. You got to weigh everything out. Are you paying him? Are you breaking the quarterback market for Lamar? Are you trading superstars and or your entire draft for him as well? I think everyone's got their price, and for me, it's just too high. It's just too high. But again, maybe it's a different conversation if I'm sitting in there with Parag Marate and Parag's like, yeah, we could cook this up. And these are the ramifications, this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, oh, okay. If Parag put my mind at ease about being in cap hell for the next 4 years, yeah, maybe. But my gut feeling right now is it's too much, man. It's just too much. But I mean, from everything that I've heard from this fan base, there seems to be a lot of faith one way or the other in Trey Lance or Brock Purdy. So, or is everyone switching up on that? Do we still not feel confident? I mean, tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow's the day that we find out if Brock Purdy is having a successful repair or full blown Tommy John. So that's a big, hey, maybe that changes things. I don't know. But it does feel like, the team believes, clearly they believe in Brock Purdy. You had Fred Warner come out on the Bussin' with the Boy podcast, talked about how Brock Purdy has the it factor. Which I think, a lot of us have talked about, but it's different when you hear players say it from their own mouths, because we can say what we think, but at the end of the day, those are the guys that are around him. They know what's being asked of him. They know if he's doing a good job, if he's not doing a good job. And Fred Warner, man, clearly has got high praise for Brock Purdy. And again, they talk about Brock like they talk about Jimmy. With Trey, they talk about Trey as it's still a wait and see kind of a situation. Like we're still trying to we don't know what he is yet. Now obviously Fred Warner prefaced his comments by saying, I noticed this in practice. I saw this all in practice. Because again, Brock Purdy plays scout team, and Brock Purdy was tasked with getting the number one defense ready. And that's when Fred said he saw it. He said, I saw in practice. So I think the locker room, if again, you had to ask them, they didn't want, they probably didn't want the 49ers to trade up to 3 because they had Jimmy. Are you going to go through that same kind of rigmarole? And again, I think it's completely different scenarios, apples to oranges here. But I don't know. That's a bold move, man. That's a bold move. I would just absolutely hate to see Lamar get hurt and just like what the ramifications would be if Lamar got hurt. And then where are you? You've exhausted all things. Trey's probably not on your roster. Brock might not even be on your roster. I don't know. Maybe he's on the roster. But seems like a big swing. And hey, good things happen when you make big swings, but also things that you don't account for happen when you make big swings. So it goes both ways, man. It's going to be interesting. So again, and I like the two quarterbacks that we have, so that hasn't changed for me. I like Trey and I like Brock, and I feel like we have something with one of them. At minimum, at maximum, both of them could be phenomenal quarterbacks, and then maybe you're flipping one of them for additional draft picks and additional players or compensation in the future, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. But I felt like it was worth a discussion because I do think we have people on both sides per usual in 49ers land, people who would sell everything for a chance at Lamar Jackson. And then I think people like me are a little bit more conservative in the sense of like, man, making 2 back-to-back monstrous moves, feels risky, feels like there's a lot of, I don't know, again, there's a lot of unknowns in it too. But the hope is either way that the 49ers know what they're doing at quarterback next year. And I think that's the number one thing is that we just have an answer. I think part of all of this is, we're not even talking about Lamar if the quarterback conversation had been figured out. If Brock Purdy didn't get hurt, all these types of things, I think we'd be in a better spot with this. But again, just how the season ended, the current status of both quarterbacks, it leaves a lot of things open. In regards to the speculation about the 49ers quarterback. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is an option. Obviously, Tom Brady retired. Will he come back? I don't know. But It will be fascinating to see what happens. Um, moving forward. So, again, thought it was worth a conversation because there's voices on both sides. There are voices in the middle, which makes it a great talking point. But we're going to find out because I would imagine it's going to happen pretty soon. Again, new league year starts on the 15th. Legal tampering begins on the 13th. So I would imagine not too long into free agency, there'll probably be some movement on Lamar Jackson. I've tried to poke around a little bit. I really haven't heard much of anything definitive one way or the other about the situation. But again, it is going to be very fascinating to see what ultimately comes from it moving forward. I'm not sure if you guys saw Tashawn Gibson is not retiring and will be heading into free agency. So it is going to be interesting if the 49ers do re-sign Tashawn Gibson or they let him walk. I know John Lynch has discussed and been adamant about potentially bringing Tashawn Gibson back. But it will be fascinating to see if he re-signs or he walks in free agency. Maybe he go plays with D'Amico Ryans. I don't know. But that will be it does sound like Mike McGlinchey is out of here. So no Mike McGlinchey. I think we all kind of knew that. The writing's been on the wall for a long time, but Mike McGlinchey went on to KMBR, basically said his goodbyes. It does sound like Mike McGlinchey will be one of the day one signees of free agency, so he's probably already got offer sheets worked up. So the second they can tamper, he's going to be ready to go. So McGlinchey's going to get a big deal, and wherever he lands, is going to get a starting right tackle. So 49ers clearly got a hole at right tackle. Going to be interesting to see how they fill that. Center, does center sign elsewhere? Does Jake Brendel sign in free agency? We know Aziz Al-Shair is probably gone as well. Is Tashawn Gibson gone? Is Jimmy Ward gone? A lot of questions coming up, and it becomes a very fun time of the year where we get to speculate, we get to play general manager, we get to come up with trade scenarios, we get to push the Brian Burns agenda, which is going to be back on track now that the Lamar Jackson agenda is up. That means the fan base is ready to spend. And if we're ready to spend, who needs Lamar when you can have Brian Burns, baby? Let's go. Give me Brian Burns by any means necessary. Quarterbacks will have less than 1.5 seconds in the pocket. That's how you neutralize your Patrick Mahomeses, your Joey Burrows. That's how you get those guys cooked. You sick Bosa and Burn. Who the BB boys? Come on, man. Do it. Do it. Like I said, man, if that type of compensation is up for discussion, where you're willing to trade a lot, throw Brian Burns and throw that name into the ring and do what it takes. Do what it takes. And we can have a potato lead us to the Super Bowl. I promise you it can happen. I've seen it done before. we can do it again. Might not be the way the rest of the leagues are the way the rest of the teams in the league are doing it, but hey, there are other ways to get it done. Gimme BB. Khalil Mack, though, that could be an interesting option. He's definitely on the tail end of his career, but it would be interesting. Yeah, of course we need a quarterback, but again, I don't believe spending the most imaginable for a quarterback is also the answer either. If you get the player without the trade compensation or the contract, sign me up. But that's not how this works. So it's a very nuanced conversation. I think the 49ers are going to be adding a veteran quarterback. Hey, if I'm wrong and they go get Lamar Jackson, I'll say I'm wrong. And I'll become the biggest Lamar Jackson fan in the world. But for right now, I appreciate the man as a talent, as a quarterback. But he's on the hunt for a bag. And I got Bosa to pay. Who else we got to pay coming up here? Maybe I like to pay E-Man. I like to pay Ayuk. I don't know if that's gonna happen. We'll find out. So we'll see. We'll see, man. But glad to see that we are in the thick of the off season. Going back and forth about quarterbacks that may or may not even be an option, but I'm for it. I'm here for it. Same energy as the Brian Burns, baby. Same energy as the Brian Burns agenda. And we're cooking. We're cooking. Listen, my philosophy would have been to draft Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes. That would have been my philosophy. But guess what? They took Solomon Thomas and CJ Beathard, and that's why we're here today, still arguing about it. So my philosophy isn't what matters. It's not what matters. Because again, my philosophy is also thinking of it like a true football businessman who has to think of everything. Not just this year, but next year, the following year, who's coming up, who's got to get paid, who we drafting, who we not drafting, do we got money, do we not got money? There's a lot of things going into this. So again, that would have me leaning towards Lamar likely not being a 49er, but I've seen crazier things happen. You never know. That's the best part about football is you never say never. That is the best part. And so any one of us, that will never happen. This will never. Don't say never. Literally never say never in this sport. Anything can happen at any given time, at any given moment. Anything can happen. So never say never. And I won't say never with Lamar Jackson. Do I think it's going to happen? No. Do I think there's a chance it could happen? Yeah, I do. Because anything can happen. It's the NFL, baby. It's crazy around these parts. Teams will do anything to get a dub. So never say never. And I won't either. But it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Appreciate you all as always. Today's Thursday. Man, it's already almost Friday. I'm still recovering from the combine. Not going to lie. I was averaging 3 hours of sleep for an entire week. That was interesting. So I'm still, and now I'm trying to get back on track with, West Coast time. And so we're getting there. We're going to be getting right back on track right when this free agency period is going to kick off. So we're going to be talking about it all, posting videos like crazy, posting to all the socials like crazy. So make sure you tapped in for that. Hit the noties on. This is definitely the time to have the noties on, because there's going to be a lot of stuff popping off, and you're not going to want to miss it. So hey, maybe you get a notie that Lamar Jackson's coming down to the Niners. Maybe. I don't know. We're going to find out. I'd appreciate you guys. Smash that like button on your way out. Grab your cookie if you stayed for all these fun quarterback talks and hypothetical situations and all the good stuff. I love you guys, man. It's best time, off-season time, where we get to talk about whatever the hell we want. So appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see